attend and participate in that as possible. We're going to get some of the men to help with that. And also on March 3rd, we're going to get back into our puppet ministry training, and that will begin at 5 o'clock that afternoon. So we would like, and that will be for boys and girls. And there's some work that we need to do on the puppet stage and also on themselves, just to get them out, clean them, and repair. We don't want puppets missing eyes or anything like that. So I'm sure that there's some work that needs to be done. They're very old, but perhaps we can still make use of those. Participating in our services tonight, Chris is going to be leading our singing, and then Jim, of course, will have our message. Who would word the opening prayer for us tonight? And closing prayer. Who would word the closing prayer for us? Dale, thank you. Anything else that we need to mention this evening?
Start on 768 if you want to turn there, if you want to use the board up there at 5. 768. Jesus, let's come to know Him. Jesus, let us come to know you. Let us see you face to face. Touch us, hold us, use us, mold us. Only let us live in you. Jesus, draw us ever nearer. Hold us in your loving arms. Wrap us in your gentle presence. When evening comes, bring us home.
Let's stop. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for many blessings of this day. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for the life he lived on this earth as a man. That he was tempted in all things like as we are. And yet willing to go to the cruel cross and die there for our sin. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this opportunity we have of meeting here this evening as your children to study from your word. Ask you to be with Brother Jim this evening as he brings us a lesson from your word, that we will listen to it and seize upon its truths and apply them to our lives. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this time of the year that some days are warm, some days are not. The sunshine at times, the rain. Just thank you for our homes, our families, for the opportunities that you present before us. Help us, Heavenly Father, to recognize those opportunities. Be, as we recognize them, to take advantage of them. Seize upon them, and we can do your will. Help us, Heavenly Father, to be more about disciples. Those who followed Jesus so closely. Sometimes we can't do the great things, but help us to recognize the smaller things that we can. Continue with us through this hour. Help us to draw closer to Thee. Be strengthened by one another in our singing, our prayers, our fellowship. Just draw us closer and closer each day. And someday You'll call us home to be with You. Thank You for this church meets here. For our brothers and sisters in Christ. Help us strive to be better disciples, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Star of Bethlehem. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shining afar from shadows dim, giving a light for those who long have known, and guiding the wise men on their way unto the place where Jesus lay. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine upon us until the glory dawn. Give the light to light the way into the land of perfect day. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Oh, beautiful star of light, guide the pilgrim through the night, over the mountains till the break of dawn, and into the light of perfect day, it will out of the lovely ray. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine upon us until the glory dawn. Give us the light to light the way into the land of perfect day. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Beautiful star of hope of rest, for the redeemed, the good, the blessed, yonder in glory when the crown is won. For Jesus is now that starting line, brighter and brighter He will shine. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. Oh, beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine upon us until the glory dawn. Oh, give thy light to light the way into the land of perfect day. Beautiful star of Bethlehem, shine on. If you'd like to mark the songbook number 908, there's a stranger at the door with a song of invitation and blessing. Song before the lesson, sing Be Happy, 587. If the skies above you are gray, you are feeling so blue, if your cares and burdens seem great all the whole day through, there's a silver light that shines in the heavenly land. Look by faith and see, my friend, trust in His promises grand. Sing and be happy, press on to the goal. Trust in Him who leads you faithful, look to Him and pray. Lift your voice and praise Him song. Sing, be happy today. Oft we fail to see the rainbow up in heaven's fair sky. When it seems the fortunes of earth frown and pass us by, there are things we know that are worth more than silver and gold. If we hope and trust in each day, we shall have pleasure untold. Sing and be happy, press on to the goal. Trust in Him who leads you, He will keep your soul. Let all be faithful, look to Him and pray. Lift your voice and praise Him song. Sing, be happy today.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's good to see. We have a decent crowd for, considering what all is going on. I know we got several with Ken and Cassie that normally meet about every week, and they invited the kids to be with them tonight, and so that's where that is. But yeah, we still have a decent number here. And, one of the things about if we do get involved with Lights Leaders, the nature of things today, one time you could have maybe had kids and mentors that would be part of this, get together during the week, but it is becoming increasingly difficult to do so. The way schools are now, the way, extracurricular things, the way even a lot of people's jobs are now. And so Sundays becomes a time when basically what is exciting that I think we're going to start seeing is we will actually spend a lot more time together on Sundays because of doing some of these things. Rick, is it 2 weeks that we start the singing? Okay. I assume some people, we'll need some people helping on some of the singing, but we'll need some people probably just to be background singers, I assume. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll eventually get to where we'll divide the boys up. There'll be younger boys that
Yes.
will need a different type of instruction than some of the older boys, and so we can split up.
But the main thing is, even if you are not a song leader or whatever, we could probably use you to just come and help the singing, because some songs it's very difficult to sing if you have a few people there. So basically, if you want to just help out, that's a way you can help out just by doing that, just by being there to help sing. And I think it's amazing, I think the greatest statistic that Rick used on Wednesday night was, I think it was around 88% people that do this type of program. And there are other programs, and there are even other things. And a lot of times those things have to do with how much interaction and things you do. And, one of the things that studies have shown is if you're involved in a lot of area congregations. And so, I don't know how many kids are going to be interested, but Haley's planning on taking that group. Apparently want to come up to Paris next week and on Sunday evening. And so things like that, becomes important. And, we're not alone in our congregation. There's been many that we can think of, kids that maybe when they were younger were active and maybe, here every Sunday, and some when they made that transition, even though they still live in this community. In fact, a great number of those on our list that we've developed are people that used to be here when they were younger, and somewhere they lost that. And so these are things that have been tried and true, and we're going to try to make sure we instill the disciplines into our young to where they'll be secure in their faith when they do get older and on their own. If you have any questions on it, by the way, you can talk to Rick. I know a little bit about the program, and basically the neat thing about the program is they have a lot of tools, and it's really up to us to decide how we implement those things. So really, if you have ideas about things that we can do, we can find a way to incorporate that if it's something that seems to be a good thing to implement. Evil under the sun. Turn your Bible to Ecclesiastes 10. We're We're coming very quickly, finishing book Ecclesiastes. And then I planned for a while, basically, in our daily Bible reading that we're doing in this chronological order. By the way, I've got the next week's out in the foyer area. And also upload it on Facebook. So you want whichever way is more convenient for you. I'm going to start basically like I do sometimes. It was clear that people disapproved of certain things. So they would look to have, where they could do things in secret. And it is true that many things are still done that way, but and it is shameful things often are done this way. But really, when things are done in secret or in hiding, that works for maybe a lot of men, but it doesn't work for God, does it? God knows those secret things. God knows those things we hide. Just because we turn the lights out, God still sees. In Daniel 2:20-22, when Daniel was about to, interpret the dream that King Nebuchadnezzar has, Daniel answered and said, "Blessed be the name of God, forever and ever, to whom belong wisdom and might. He changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who understand it. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him." He knows what goes in those shadows. You think you can hide, and maybe you can do a good job of keeping things, maybe the darkest secrets away from your fellow man, your neighbor, from even your spouse, or maybe your kids or whatever. But the thing of the matter is, nothing can be hidden from God. He sees those hidden things. And so a lot of times people that do things, that try to do things in the dark, do things in hiding, it doesn't work because God still sees. And He's the one that ultimately will judge us. I think, though, one of the biggest things that we see changing in today's time is more and more things are done today that there's little shames. It used to be there's certain things that no way people would broadcast or, make out. And now I tell you, with things, you see on Facebook, you see on the media, you see other things where people are proud of doing things that are shameful. At least they should be, because they go against God. One of it's just unfathomable what's going on with some of these things on abortion. And the fact that Lord passed this law where it allows for abortion up to birth, and the people were smiling and happy about it. And it's something that's shameful. But there's so little shame in things, and it's just hard to understand, but that's the way it is. And in one sense, we just see it more now, but in one sense, it's probably always been there. There's probably always been people who are bold enough to do the shameful things in broad daylight. And really, that's been the case even in biblical times. We see this, and Philippians 3:19, Paul there talks about it, says, their end is destruction, their God is rebellion. And they glory in their shame with minds set on earthly things. So many people are so driven by their passions, by their lusts, by their desires. And it seems like we live in an age when that is encouraged. Whatever you like, whatever you want to do it. Who's the judge? Well, God is our judge. And He has a standard. And He one day will judge based on His word. And how sad it is that people are led astray by things like that. You see, even if it's done in daylight or not daylight, it doesn't really matter, because if God sees it, God sees all. If it's something that goes against Him, it's a shameful thing. And ultimately will face the wrath of God. Things done under the sun, though. There's a lot of things done. There's a lot of things done that we know are not right. A lot of things done that are good. So it goes both ways. We're going to look at folly in many high places, words of the wise and foolish, and kings, both good and bad. Folly in many high places. Ecclesiastes 10, we're going to begin with verse 5. It says, "There is an evil that I have seen under the sun, as it were an air proceeding from the ruler. Folly is set in many high places, and the rich sit in a low place. I've seen slaves on horses and princes walking on the ground like slaves. He who digs a pit will fall in it, and a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. He who quarries stones is hurt by them, and he who splits log is endangered by them. If the iron is blunt and the one who does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength, but wisdom helps one succeed. If the serpent bites before it's charmed, there's no advantage to the charmer. And so we see all these things, and it's like, sometimes, so I've heard some people say, it's almost like Solomon sometimes is almost, imbalanced at times, maybe manic depressive or something. It seems like he goes high and lows, just all the time. But what he's doing is he's pointing out the folly of this world. There's an evil under the sun, and it seems. And that's true. And we see oftentimes it's the rulers who are the most evil. Doesn't have to be, but we look at things and in one sense, I think people used to use that almost as a cop-out. They would say, look how bad our rulers are. Well, we got no reason. We got no way we can hand that off on our rulers. If it's a congressman, we get to vote on him every 2 years, but a senator every 6 years, president every 4 years. And we have state election officers and everything, and yet we see what our rulers are, but yet they're doing what people have either wanted or allowed them to do. But we see things. We see even the rich. The rich, they may have health problems, they may have this or what that. You see even poor people in our thing. I know Haley used to work at a drugstore, a pharmacy, and she was be amazed. Some people that were, on disability or whatever, they'd be driving these brand new, nice cars. They'd have, just all kinds of things, and it just like, where'd they get their money from? And it's like, then you see other people that, work hard, but didn't seem to ever have anything. It just sometimes doesn't make any rhyme or reason, does it? And really, that's all I'm saying. This has always happened. This has always been the case. And I like some of these, the serpent bites before it's charmed. You've ever seen the people that, play that little flute or whatever that thing is, and you get that snake out, charm it, well, what if they opened it up, just a tad too soon, and, I think sometimes people do the right things, and here's stuff that happens. I know not too long ago, I was shutting my front door, and I shut it right on my finger. Boy, that hurt. It still hasn't quite healed. It's about there, the nail's about to come back right. But what I did is I shut the door, but I didn't have my finger out. And you do that, I don't know, I probably do that 1,000 times I've done that. I've never had that happen, but that one time I happened to shut it right before I got the finger out of the way. And I won't do that again, I don't think. But we see things like that happen. You may be, and tragedy strikes just all of a sudden sometimes. And sometimes people that just seems like, something, but that's life. You see, this world doesn't make rhyme or reason. Once sin was introduced, we have a cursed earth, and there are things that are going to happen. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Matthew 5:43-46 says, "You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends the rain on the just and unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same?" And so we see that as a child of God, we have a higher standard. We have a difference. Now, God has blessed this earth with a lot of bountiful things. And God chooses to send good things to the good. He sends good things to even the bad. He sends bad things to the bad, but he also sends bad things to the good as well. And so we see the only thing that distinguishes us, the only thing that separates us, the way we should act ultimately is something that we live for something much more than what we have here. We live for something that is more eternal, obviously. And so as a result, we must be different. And so how we live becomes important. Because ultimately it's not going to matter, if you do something that, have some type of accident where you hurt yourself, or you do this or do that, or you have some type of tragedy strike, ultimately, I want to tell you, compared to eternity, it's going to really not matter a whole lot if you live the way you're supposed to live. But you can have the best of luck, you can have the best of things, you can have the best of the best of the best, and yet if you've not got God and Jesus in your heart, and you've not been living the way you should, I want to tell you, it won't matter. You see, this life goes around this. Words of the wise and foolish. Although, have you noticed it and I've noticed, of course, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but it seems like the wisest people I've ever been around, they say the least. Have you noticed that? And then the ones that usually, they're more foolish, they talk all the time. Now, I don't know what that means, because I'm the one that tends to talk all the time. So I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that. But sometimes the more you say, the more you can say something that isn't correct. But anyway, the words of the wise and foolish. Ecclesiastes 10 now, verse 12 says, the words of a wise man's mouth win him favor, but the lips of a fool consume him. The beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk is evil madness. A fool multiplies words, though no man knows what is to be. And who can tell him what will be after? The toil of a fool wearies him, for he does not know the way to the city. You know, sometimes the wisest thing anyone can say is, I don't know. And there's a lot of things I want to tell you that God has revealed to us, but there are some things God has not. Still the secrets of God. And all that we have glimpses of maybe what heaven's going to be. It's described in a way that we can see how fantastic it's going to be, how wonderful it's going to be, and what it's not going to have, and what it is going to have. But we really don't know exactly what it's like, do we? We've got glimpses. One day we will. But you know, it would be a pretty foolish man to say, it's going to be this and that. I've heard some of these fanciful theories, and I want to tell you, you're not going to find this in Scripture. And there'll be some of them fanciful theories, your dog, all your pets will be in heaven, you'll be at whatever your best age you was at, you do this and that. And I'm like, where do you get that? It's not in Scripture. Only a foolish person would ever dare attempt to say something that they have no clue about. And oftentimes we do, and oftentimes people, they don't even realize they have no clue about it. They'll talk about things of a spiritual matter. And yet we do have a standard there. We have God's Word, and we know how we should act, what we should do, and what we should not do. Now this world is full of people who think they're wise, but they're really not. Sometimes, you have to be able to kind of distance yourself. People that are going to say things and say things and say things, and yet you're never going to convince them. But you have to understand how foolish indeed they are. Those that truly do not believe in God, they didn't realize how foolish that is. And how foolish and how sad it is because they have nothing for hope. And I want to tell you how miserable existence that would be to live life knowing that there was nothing else. 1 Corinthians 1:18-27 says, for the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and the discernment of the discernment I will thwart. Where is the one who is wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the debater of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since the wisdom of God, the world did not know God through wisdom, it pleased God through the folly of what we preach to save those who believe. For Jews demand signs and Greeks seek wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and folly to the Gentiles, but to those who are called both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. For consider your calling, brothers, not many of you were wise according to the worldly standards, not many were powerful, not many were of noble birth, but God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. The wisest people in the world thinks, many of them now are atheists, and yet they have no clue, they have no understanding, and they can't explain a thing. Richard Hawkins, some of the things that they've talked to him, he's probably one of the leading atheist leaders, and another one, Dan Barker in the United States, and you'll ask them things like Richard Dawkins, I've seen him in interviews, and you ask him, well, where did life begin? By the way, Darwin in his books, even though his book, the famous book he wrote, The Origin of Species, one thing he doesn't actually talk about? Where things actually came from. Sound like false advertising, but never once says that. And so you ask an atheist, well, where did the origin of species, where did we come from? And guess what? I don't know. That's in essence, the honest ones will say that. I don't know. For a while you had the Big Bang, and maybe even some of your textbooks still have the Big Bang. But I want to tell you something, the Big Bang has been discredited over and over, and the leading scientists no longer believe it, haven't believed it even since its beginning, because it flat out makes no sense and it violates the laws of thermodynamics. Well, so you ask them, what do you think so? I say, well, I saw an interview with Tom Benson. I interviewed him Didn't know, the guy didn't know why Ben Stein was interviewing, didn't know what it meant or anything. And he asked him, and he said, and just honestly, he said, well, I think aliens planted the seeds of life on Earth. Of course, Ben Stein was ready for him. He asked and said, where'd the aliens come from? I don't know. And, they can't answer even fundamental questions, but we as Christians, we as the ones that the world considers foolish, we can tell you that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And that He would ultimately send His Son to die for man. What a great message we have. We truly have the words of wisdom. And the world may go their way, but I tell you, we've got the hope that man needs today. Kings, both good and bad. We don't live under kings, but we have government, and they kind of serve a similar function. But in Solomon's day, they had good kings, they had bad kings. On Wednesday night, we've been talking about Saul and him chasing David now, trying to kill him in the sections we're at now. And you could easily say Saul wasn't a good king, was he? David becomes a good king. And Solomon kind of had his pluses and minuses. And then others, they kind of many were bad, some were good. We've had good presidents, bad presidents, kind of indifferent. We've had governments that maybe do a better job than others, but that hasn't changed. That's been the way of the world, both the good and the bad. Ecclesiastes 10, verse 16 through 20 says, woe to you, O land, when your king is a child, and your prince is feasting. Happy are you, O land, when your king is the son of the nobility, and your princes feast at the proper time for strength and not for drunkenness. Through sloth the roof sinks in, and through indolence the house leaks. It's made for laughter, and wine glads life, and money answers everything. Now that's definitely words of wisdom, is it not? Even in your thoughts do not curse the king, nor in your bedroom curse the rich, for a bird of the air will carry your voice, or some winged creature tell the man. You've got to love wisdom literature because basically it has so many truisms there. You can talk about so many things, but basically the wise man here is saying, watch what you say. And some of these people, even though they act foolishly, they demand respect by who they are. And you never know who may be listening to what you say, do you? Have you ever done the proverbial stick your foot in the mouth? She became bipolar with no one knowing about it, and basically she had a bipolar manic episode at work, and basically this was after the ADA law was all passed, and the city never gave her opportunity to go seek medical attention, ever get medicine, and everything. They fired her without any of that being done and checked out, or give her an option of going somewhere else and working, and so they were actually in the wrong the way that was done. But good and bad. Watch what you say. Watch what you say. Even if it is a scoundrel, if it's someone of respect, we can treat them with respect. I used to get annoyed when our previous president, Barack Obama, of course he did some things that I disagreed with, and I would point out things I disagreed with, but he still deserved respect as the president of the United States. And what saddens me now is we have a president, and once again, you can disagree with him, you can feel that he doesn't do this well, that well, but the thing about it is he still has a title of respect. And so does our congressmen and our women and everything that's in there. We need to watch what we say. And I think as Christians, we need to be all citizens. In essence, we need to serve. We can, be part of government, and we can be part of things. And much like Paul, we can utilize the laws of our land to our advantage when we need to. But Romans 13, 1 through 7, there Paul writes, let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. And those that exist have been instituted by God. In essence, God has had a hand in what we have. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore, one must be in subjection not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of conscience. For because of this, you also pay taxes. The authorities are ministers of God attending to this very thing. Pay to all what is owed to them, taxes to whom taxes are owed, revenue to whom revenue is owed, respect to whom respect is owed, honor to whom honor is owed. As Christians, that's the way we should live. And so there are things that we do. We do things because that's the right thing to do. And it should distinguish us from the way that the world is. Lots under the sun. And so we see this wisdom and all this writing and these other things. And what can we learn from it? Well, Solomon basically, the wise man puts everything in conclusion always, and we look to the thing at the end. He always goes to these, different things. What really does it matter? You can be a king, but yet, you may be brought low, or you may be rich, but you have all these problems, or you may be poor and things go good. What does it really matter? What matters most? And after Solomon and the wise man, he ponders all this over and over, which way, what is good. He concludes in Ecclesiastes 12, 13, and 14, the end of the matter, all that's been heard, fear God, and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man, for God will bring every deed in judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. Doesn't matter what you do in the dark places, it better be what's right. Doesn't matter what you do in the sun, it better be what's right, because God sees all, and that's what you're going to be judged on. Do you fear and respect God? Do you keep his commandments? Jesus said, he who believes and is baptized will be saved. A very basic and simple thing, something that there is no way to twist it around that it could mean this or mean that. It's very simple, and it agrees with all the other scriptures that we know of in the New Testament about baptism. You're arguing with God if you don't agree. God wants you to come to him about it. If you're not a Christian, why not become one? Have your sins washed away? Or maybe you are, maybe you've not been doing as you should. Maybe you have faltered in some way. Why not come back tonight? If you have any need at all, come now, still be standing.
There's a stranger at the door. Let him and the Savior. He has been there oft before. Let him and the Savior. Let him in ere he is gone. Let him in the Holy One. Father, can we give you thanks for this bread that represents Christ's body? He gave himself for a sacrifice for us. We ask that you would bless this bread. Bless those who partake this evening. In Christ's name. Dear Lord, we're coming in to you asking, dear Lord, if you will grant favor on those that partake tonight of this blood, or this cup of fruit vine, which represents thy son's blood. They can take them out of pleasing in thy sight. I pray in Christ's name. If there's nothing else, let's stand and sing the first verse. Troublesome times are here, filling men's hearts with fear. Freedom we all hold dear, now as they say. Humbling your heart to God, take the chastising rod. Seek the way filled from progress away. Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom, trumpets will sound. All of the dead shall rise, righteous meet in the sky, going where no one has ever found.
Our Father who art in heaven, we ask that you be with us as we leave here today and protect us. Watch over those that are sick, need your attention. We pray, Father, that the lesson we've learned here tonight will help us in each day that we go through. Father, may we somehow or another reach out to those that are not attending here and encourage them to come back. We pray, Father, that you will watch over them,